This morning we're interviewing Deacon Dwight Spicer. Good morning, Dr. Spicer.
Good morning, Pastor Keith.
I wanted to ask you about your background, where you grew up and did your early schooling.
Well, I was born in Toronto. I did public school in Scarborough, high school in Scarborough, then went to Hamilton and attended McMaster University. I spent 4 years to get my honors degree in biology, 2 years to get my master's degree in cell biology, then 3 years in medical school at McMaster to get my basic MD degree, then an additional 2 more years for my specialty in family practice.
Okay, so what prompted you to go into medicine?
It's something I've always wanted to do from a very small child. The human body, its function just fascinated me. And as I went through university, I toyed with the idea of doing research, and that just wasn't for me. So I got back to my first love, which was to pursue medicine. And fortunately, I was able to get accepted, and 38 years later, here I am.
So after you were as a doctor, was it then you came to Brantford?
Yeah, what happened was we got married, my wife and I, obviously, and we went to Cayuga for 1 year. And then we were looking for a place to live after that. And we looked at Hamilton, London, Brantford, and we decided to come to Brantford, largely because of the housing was very inexpensive at the time. And for a young couple, that was great. And at the same time, we're looking for a church. And so we were looking around, attended a number of the churches, and eventually attended Central Baptist Church, and we were quite impressed with what we saw. So we've been attending, and again, 42 years later, we're still attending. And while in Brantford, that's when I applied to medical school.
Okay. Where did you meet Linda?
I met Linda at McMaster University. So she was doing an arts degree. She was majoring in French. So I met her, I think probably at the end of her second year. And she went on to become a teacher. But yeah, so McMaster is where I first met her. Okay.
Now, you said you started to come to Central shortly after you moved to Brantford.
Mm-hmm.
You've been there a long time. What roles have you played at Central?
When I first attended, we went to the young couples Bible school, which was Maranatha. And while I was there, I was like a class leader. We'd start or initiate the beginning of the class. So we did that for a number of years. Helped my wife in VBS for about 4 or 5 years. She was the brains behind the VBS, and I would just help her out and assist her in that area. I was the CBA chairman about 10, 15 years ago for a number of years. Lately, I've become a member of CBA committee again, and then eventually a deacon. I guess a number of years back, I was also an usher for a couple of years.
Okay. Okay. Can you tell me how you came to the Lord, how you became a Christian?
Well, I think my wife and I were, when we got married, were pursuing spiritual things at the time. We were attending actually a United Church in Cayuga, and I would travel between Cayuga and Hamilton to work. And during that hour there and hour back, I would listen to WDCX, which had all sorts of wonderful Christian programming. And so that really opened my eyes to the spiritual side of people, of myself as well. And so my wife and I would talk about it, and we eventually accepted the Lord. She in Cayuga, me when I attended Central Baptist. But it's been quite a journey. It's been over many years.
Can you tell us about your family? You have children. Where are they and what do they do?
I have 4 children. The oldest one is Christopher. He's married. He has 2 children, so I have 2 grandchildren. It's kind of special, kind of fun. Then I have Daniel, who's still looking at what he wants to do with his life. Then there's Lucas, our third child. He's an ER physician at the Brantford General. And then there's Sarah, who's teaching English to the Japanese kids in Japan. She's been there for 6 years.
Okay. And when did you become a deacon?
I became a deacon, I guess, March.
Okay.
So this is my first year.
Okay. And your responsibility right now?
My responsibility is to oversee the Christian education. Unfortunately, there's not a lot going on because of the COVID, but once the COVID settles down and we restart our church and our programs, then I'll be more actively involved in that.
And how has this affected your practice?
Yeah, big time. I think COVID has greatly influenced many areas of our world, of our life. COVID has basically shut down our practice to a great degree. I see one person every 30 minutes, so we space people out to make sure that there's not a lot of people in the clinic. So I used to see maybe one every 15 minutes, now it's one every 30 minutes. We usher people in from the parking lot, usher them out of the waiting room or the examining room, back out of the clinic. So we're very, very careful to make sure that we're not putting anybody at risk for contracting the COVID. So it's been a big impact. We have to wear masks and make sure our hands are constantly being washed. And so we're very aware of the dangers of COVID.
Now, I know you're on the committee thinking about the future of the church and what we're going to do about opening up. Have you any thoughts on that?
Yeah, we've met, actually I haven't met yet. We've informally been talking over the email, sending emails back and forth. There's 4 of us, and we're looking at the process of reopening the church and the various church ministries. We've had a lot of emails go back and forth. Wade has been instrumental in coming up with the initial template, and we're working with that template. And then Monday we'll be meeting for the first time at the church and doing like a walkthrough. And hopefully very shortly, because I think Wade has done a tremendous amount of work already, hopefully very shortly we'll be able to come up with some recommendation with very specifics to the deacons board. And if they approve it, then we can relay that information to our membership.
Okay.
Hopefully very soon.
So you think we'll open in the next month?
I think we've got 4 pretty keen guys that are working on this right now, and I think we're all motivated to try and expedite this, but it has to be done safely. We have to very carefully look at all the issues, make sure this is planned very, very carefully. One case of COVID in our first meeting will end it, so we've got to be very careful. So I would suspect that if we can get this to the deacons through an email, because you could probably do this before the next meeting. Get it to the deacons for an email. If they're happy with it, maybe they'll have some suggestions. We can come up with something more specific. Maybe do the final draft to the deacons. If they approve it, then we can present it to the membership. But hopefully that'll be within the next 4 to 6 weeks. That'd be great if we could.
Yeah, it'd be good. Okay, do you have a final word for the church? The folks will see this in a few weeks.
Well, I think that we live in very interesting times. The COVID caught everybody by surprise. The stock market crash caught everybody by surprise. There's lots of things that are new and unexpected. But I think the one constancy in all of this is God's love for us. He loves us. He loves Central Baptist Church. And I think through his guidance and leadership, we're going to be fine. I think we live in very interesting times. I believe that we're in that final generation personally. But, God's going to be with us.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dwight. We look forward to meeting in the church one day before too long.
So am I. God bless.